So your resume was so great that you got the phone call and you are now being invited to an interview for this company you applied to.
Yes! Yes, yes, yes!
You're probably going to be nervous, and that is okay. Remember that rule number 1 is that you want to show confidence though. The only way that you can develop confidence is by practicing it. Now, I know this probably sounds silly, but I would highly recommend that you practice being in the interview with somebody that cares about you, like a friend or one of your parents or an aunt, an uncle, or a teacher. Most people who care about you would be more than happy to help you prepare for your job interview. The reason why you want to prepare is because the tricky part about a job interview is finding that balance between I am here to learn how to help your company grow and I'm here because I'm the best one for the job. So let's talk about the do's and don'ts of a job interview, and hopefully that'll help you find that balance. Let's start with the don'ts first though, because sometimes knowing what not to do is as important as knowing what to do. Don't number 1, do not chew gum. Chewing gum makes you look very unprofessional. It doesn't matter what you're wearing. If you're chewing gum, it looks terrible. Never show up at a job interview chewing gum. If you want to make sure that your breath is fresh or if chewing gum calms your nerves, make sure to chew the gum before you go into the building and spit it out outside of the building, because you never know if there will be a trash can nearby or not. And please, do not swallow the gum, all right? That is terrible for you. Don't number 2, do not pretend, lie, or exaggerate things. In the previous video, we talked about how you could rephrase things that seem negative into a more positive version of the same thought, but that does not mean that you should change the meaning of the thought, like 100%, right? So for example, if you absolutely hate babies because they cry and they're gross and they're gooey, right? Don't say in the interview that you love babies, because that's just not true.
Liar.
One way to make it sound more positive though would be to say something like, I prefer to work with older children. See, you hear the difference? But don't say that you hate babies though. That sounds terrible. Don't number 3, do not swear or use vulgar language. This is a professional setting you're stepping into. So even if the recruiter is cussing up a storm, do not swear. They could either be testing you or they could just flat out have different standards for new employees.
What the?
That sounds a little hypocritical, but that's true for a lot of jobs, unfortunately. So be careful. Don't number 4, do not use your cell phone during the interview. Don't even use it while you're at the waiting room. The last thing you want is to give the impression that you're dependent on your phone and that you have to be glued to it 24/7. And actually, this is really good practice for real life too. Like if you're going to the grocery store with your parents or your significant other or whatever, bring one phone. I leave my phone at home all the time because I know that if I don't, I'm going to be missing out on precious moments happening around me because I'm just staring at a screen. And that, my friends, is how you form deep, meaningful relationships, by the way, by getting your eyes off of a screen. I didn't mean to sound all right there, but hey, I have been in a wonderful relationship for the last 6 years, so I may know a thing or two about forming deep, meaningful relationships. Just saying. Maybe I should make a course about that. What do you think? Tell me in the comments. Those are the 4 major don'ts I have for you, but if you can think of any other don'ts, please make sure to leave them in the comments. Now, let's move on to the things that you should do before and during the interview. Do number 1, research the company you're applying to work for. Not only should you do a little research on the history, their employee hourly rate or salary, the employee code, etc., but you should also research how you can quote unquote climb the ladder at this company should you choose to stay for a long period of time. Like how would your salary be increased? And what benefits would you earn if you stay with this company for a long time? Will you get employee discounts or paid vacations or paid sick days? Those are the things that you should research ahead of time, but you're also welcome to ask during the interview, which brings me to do number 2. That didn't sound right. All right, ask questions. Recruiters want to give you all the tools that you need in order to make a decision of whether you want to accept a job with them or not. They also love to see people who are assertive and know what they want. Asking questions also shows that you are humble enough to ask for help whenever you are in doubt, as opposed to being someone trying to figure things out on their own just because they're too stubborn or too scared to ask for help. So ask questions. Do number 3, be early. I didn't say be on time, did I? I said be early. And this goes for everything, not just a job interview, but create a habit of being early to things, because for one thing, it allows you to relax before you get done whatever it is that you need to get done. And also it prevents you from potentially being late and having to explain yourself and then looking bad on your first impression with this company. If you create a habit of being early, people will know that they can count on you and that you value their time because you do not make them wait. This also shows respect, maturity, and reliability. And in the work setting, it puts everyone at ease. Like, I have a coworker that I do events with on the weekends, and he is always at least 30 minutes to an hour early to every event. And one time he called me freaking out that he was going to be late to the event. And I knew that what that meant was that he was gonna be like 15 minutes early, maybe, instead of being 30 minutes or an hour early. And sure enough, he was like 15 or 10 minutes early to the event, which means that we didn't have to scramble or rush, because that's who he is. He's always early, and we love working with him for that reason. So be early. Do number 4, look presentable. This should go without saying, but make sure to look your best. Wear a colored shirt, wear some dress pants, nice shoes, take a shower that morning, right? Brush your teeth, get your eyebrows done if you need to, comb your hair. And for crying out loud, do not show up to a job interview with ripped clothes. In my opinion, cleavages are also a big no-no. Piercings, tattoos that are distasteful, like swear words or demons or provoking kind of tattoos. You know, that tattoo that makes your grandma cringe, that one. Cover it up for the job interview, please. You can always have a conversation later with the manager and see if they're okay with you showing it. Now, here's the thing, before you all come down my throat in the comment section. When you're working for somebody else, there's a fine line between what is considered freedom of speech and what it means to represent a company. When you sign a contract that says that you will work for company X, that contract has a code of conduct that you agreed on. You didn't have to sign it. You could have found another job somewhere else, but you did sign it. And that is a legal document. And now when you are on the clock and you're getting paid by this company, you can only wear, say, and do what their code of conduct that you signed voluntarily says. Now, obviously, within the means of not violating your human rights. But just because you strongly believe in a cause or a movement or a political figure, or that Shakira's husband shouldn't have cheated on her, that doesn't mean that you have to voice your opinion at work. That is not the place to do it, because that is not what you're getting paid to do. You are getting paid to do the job that was asked of you. And part of that job is representing the values of the company and staying within their code of conduct. Now, I know you probably want to build relationships with your coworkers, which is amazing. And you will end up talking about social topics and your personal lives, and that is all great. But you got to know that there is a boundary that cannot be crossed. And for many companies, that boundary is pretty thick. So mostly because they want to ensure that everyone's opinions are respected, for one thing, and simply because the professional environment should just be professional, not flooded with people arguing or talking about social concerns that have nothing to do with the work they're there to do. So I hope this makes sense. So please just look presentable and keep it professional, okay? Do number 5. Make your weaknesses look like strengths. Now, this one is a tricky one because I mentioned that you do not want to lie or you do not want to exaggerate either, right? So this is going to take a little bit of preparation and some creativity. In most job interviews that I've ever been to, they have always asked me what is a strength of mine and what is a weakness of mine. And I think that I have always said that one of my strengths is that I love to talk to people and I love to make them feel good and that I love to provide amazing service. So that's always committed to me, right? But one of my weaknesses is that, for example, I hate repeating myself, right? I think that's why I make this video, so that I don't have to say it again and again, that you can just go back and watch it as many times as you need to. So how can I make that sound like a strength? Well, I can say that I strive to be as clear and concise as possible so that I don't have to repeat myself. Don't say that it's because you hate to repeat yourself, right? So I guess you could say that one of your weaknesses, if you're anything like me, that you have a tendency of over-explaining yourself, which in reality is kind of a strength because that means that you will have a lot less communication issues. And I am a true believer that there is no such thing as over-communicating. I rather know everything that you're thinking than to be guessing and potentially be wrong about what it is that you're truly thinking. So, but that's a discussion for another day. So, turn your weaknesses into a strength. It takes practice though. And last but not least, do number 6. Make them smile. As the brilliant Maya Angelou said, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter if you're at a job interview or at a grocery store. Make it a point to make people smile. Make it easy to hire you, because even if you don't have, let's say, the experience or the skill or the accolades or whatever, at the very least you can show them that you can bring a great, rejuvenating and contagious spirit that is being in your presence. Own that space. Make them glad that they called you in, not just for your skill set, but for who you are as a person, because I'm sure you have a lot to offer to this world, and this job may just be step 1 of sharing your amazing self with the world. And as a bonus, thank them for their time. Time is the most precious thing, and it is not common practice to be appreciated for our time. So thank them for it. Shake their hand like you had a good breakfast that morning, and just leave them wanting to see you again. But all of these have to be genuine. So don't wait until you get that job interview to start practicing. Start now. Put a group of your friends together and play pretend. You can all take turns being the recruiter and just practice what it would be like to be in a job interview. You should probably have an adult present though, so that they can guide you, but I think it would be a lot of fun. And always remember that you never want to be hired just because you need the money, right? That is the worst reason you could ever give, okay? Well, now that you are hired, you're gonna have to pay the T word. I'll see you there.